Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be doing my top 5 most surprising horror movies of 2023.
Surprise!
I've also been going to be doing a top 5 disappointing, top 10 horror movies of 2023 and my top 10 most anticipated horror movies of 2024. That'll be on the channel already. So I'll leave a link to my top 10 playlist down below, and any movies I talk about here that I've done a full review for will be down below as well. So I'm just going to pick 5 here. Top 5 most surprising horror movies. These aren't the greatest horror movies of the year or anything like that, although a couple of them might be in my top 10. But these are movies that I didn't expect too much from and was surprised by how much I actually enjoyed them. So not a best list, not a worst list, just a surprising list. So let's just get into it now. In 5th place, coming in 5th place is going to be Hell House LLC. Origins, The Carmichael Manor. Now, this is a prequel to Hell House LLC, and the reason I wasn't expecting too much from this is because Stephen Cognetti was directing this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, he done a great job on the original film. Very, very creepy found footage movie, and I just thought, you know what, that is one of the most well-executed found footage horror movies I've ever seen. Unfortunately, the second one didn't do it for me, and it felt like Stephen Cognetti was just trying way too hard to give stuff that we didn't really need to see, and it just took the scare factor away, really, because all these questions are getting answered. And I didn't check out the third one. I heard it was terrible, and I thought, well, if I didn't really like the second one, I'm not going to like the third. I will try and get to it at some point, but I wanted to check this one out just to see if it was on the level of the first movie, and my God, it was. Stephen Cognetti has brought this franchise back here. I hope I'm okay in saying that because I haven't seen the third. You know, I hope I'm qualified to say that. I just didn't like the second one. But he has brought it back for me personally to the level of the first movie. But I gotta say, this might not be as good as the original, but it's definitely scarier. And this, for me, what else was surprising is how scary it actually was. This is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. I am not easily scared by films, but my God, man, I was hiding behind a pillow at times with this. It sees 3 ghost hunters going to invest this manor. Very simple concept, but the scare scenes are what makes this film. Like, there's one moment where the 2 girls go out and this guy's in the house on his own. He can hear noises, and there's this woman in the corridor and stuff looking behind the corner. I was like, holy shit, I'm getting goosebumps now talking about it. There was another one where this woman is on a laptop and these images keep flashing on the screen, and it's coming up to her room, each image, and it's behind her, and then it's such a well-built tense scene. The clown, the clown statues in this movie, oh my God, they are terrifying. Now, I've recommended this movie to a few people in my work and stuff like that, and they agreed with me that this movie is actually scary. They're not generic jump scares, they are well-built scenes. And what I like about it is it doesn't give you a chance to breathe. Like, one scary scene might happen, you think you're going to get about 5 or 10 minute breather there where the story gets told, but no, it just starts building to the next scene. And you feel like these characters are dealing with something very, very evil here. It does not stop. So for me, Hell House LLC was a huge surprise. And spoiler alert, it did actually make my top 10 movies of 2023. So if you're a fan of found footage, definitely check this out. Number 4 is going to be a movie called Unwelcome. Now, when I read the plot synopsis of this, I thought this is going to be terrible, but I need to see it. And it's basically about this family, this couple, should I say, who I think the female is pregnant. And they moved to Ireland to start a new life after people intruded their home and there was a bit of a violent incident. And they want to start a new life in Ireland. And there are people at the bottom of the garden, these little people who need feeding every single night. Otherwise, they will get angry and come and attack this couple. And that might sound absolutely ridiculous. It's not all what you think. Like, you think it's all about that, but this is more of a home invasion film. And the characters of these little people are sort of a side story. So it's like characters invade, these horrible characters who live in the town who are trying to sort of worm their way into this family. I thought that was the best concept of the movie, the best, most interesting part. But the little people and stuff were just a little bit of a bonus. You know you're getting into something ridiculous when you read a plot synopsis like that, but I thought it was a little bit smarter than being ridiculous, to be honest, although it does know what it's doing in the third act. But I really got behind this couple. I thought they were a great couple, two great characters to get behind. Really didn't want the vile characters in the movie, sort of bringing any harm to them, and that's what the movie plays on. So you're kind of like, ooh, on the edge of your seat at times. And for me, I loved the location of the Irish town that they were in as well, just going to the pub in the countryside and stuff like that. That was all nice to look at. So for me, I enjoyed this one. I've heard people say they hated this movie, and that is fine. But for me, I was quite surprised. So in fourth place is Unwelcome. Coming in third place is going to be VHS 85. Now, I think the main reason I was surprised by this is because I didn't like last year's entry, VHS 99. And I've only seen them two movies in this franchise. I haven't checked the other ones out. But this one was way better than 99. And it had 5 stories attached to it. And some of them were really smartly done. And the first story kind of interweaves itself with the fourth story. And it sees these characters who are just fooling around in this lake, and next minute the snipers shooting at them and stuff, and it was so violent and gory, and I was like, holy shit. The first 10 minutes of this, you're just like, my God, this movie's going for it. And we see other stories where a character is on a very early version of VR, and I've heard a lot of people say they didn't like that story, but I thought it was quite an interesting, interesting setup there, and all things are going wrong in this VR while people are watching. There's another great story that it's kind of like a serial killer going around to these houses and killing all these women, in violent ways, but the tape is sent to the police before it even happens, and when the police turn up, it's actually happened. So that was a really interesting one that could have been made into a fully fledged movie. Really liked how one of the stories, the fourth one, interweaves with the sniper one on the lake as well. But it just felt very sinister, very dark, very pure horror, this VHS 85, I thought. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed that. So didn't expect much from it over last year's entry, but yeah, I quite enjoy VHS 85, and it's got me intrigued to check out the other ones now. So in third place is VHS 85. Coming in second place is going to be The Nun 2. After watching the last 2 or 3 movies in the Conjuring universe, I didn't expect anything from this film. The Nun, okay in places, but then starts to become a little bit of a drag. The Curse of La Llorona, not good at all. Hated The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. It might actually be my least favourite in the entire Conjuring universe. So going into this one, I thought, I'm just going to have to see what it's all about. But I was actually quite surprised. We see, unlike The Nun, where it just goes down one story path really with these two characters, here we have 2 different story paths happening. One happening in this, I think it was an orphanage, was it? Or the school. And then the other one we see Vera Farminger's sister, is it? I can't quite, I think it's his sister in real life. I forgot her name, I'm really sorry. But she, is going down this other path, traveling to where this school is with her friend. And this demon of Valak has got out again, basically. But I just thought there was some really cool directional takes on this movie. The lighting and everything in this film, visually stunning. There was a great scene involving a magazine stand and stuff. I thought, oh yeah, this is really, really going for it here. It tries to be a bit more clever than your typical generic bullshit horror movie that we get all the time. Although it does feel like that in places. But I just really enjoyed this one way more than the past 3 entries in the Conjuring universe. I thought it had a great third act. How it all played out. It does go a little bit down the action path, I suppose, but some of the jump scares and stuff leading up to that all worked for me. So, you know what? I just really enjoyed this a hell of a lot more than the past 3 Conjuring movies. So the thing that's why it's so high in second place, I expected 0 from this, and I just thought this is going to be a moneymaker. But it was actually a really good film. So in second place is The Nun 2. Coming in first place, though, is going to be Saw X. Now, there are so many weak movies in this franchise for me. I love the first, love the second. Part 6 is okay, but everything else apart from that hasn't really done much for me. And it's just became a tired formula. So I expected nothing from Saw X. I thought, oh, here we go, another cash grab. But my God, I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this one. Now, this one does something totally different. Instead of just being thrown into these traps, first half of the movie is so well built up story-wise. It takes place between Saw 1 and 2 and sees John Kramer being had some wrongdoing done towards him by the most sinister characters I have ever seen in movies, especially the main female antagonist of this film. I hated her. I just wanted her to meet a grisly end. It's basically John Kramer has been promised his cancer to be cured, and these characters are going to cure it for him, and they sort of took his money and ran, and he hasn't been cured at all. Now, that is something really horrible to do to a person, and I went into this movie knowing it was about that, and I said, I'm not getting behind John Kramer whatsoever, because I know what he's going to turn into in future movies. He's going to become a sadistic killer and be very nasty and horrible to people who are going to meet some gruesome deaths. But you know what? I couldn't help myself but get behind the guy. I wanted him to succeed and get these characters put in the most deadly traps possible, which he does do in the second half of the film. So the first half of the movie, really well built story. You're getting behind John Kramer there a little bit. And the second half, it goes down the trap route. And there's some really gruesome moments in this movie. People sawing their legs off with chicken wire and other traps where people have got to sort of pick a bit of their brain out and stuff to put it on some scales. Now, I do think some of the traps were a little bit overdone, really, because characters do all the hard work and then kind of have to wait for a timer at times. And it's kind of based on a little bit of a look, but they were still great to watch. Still gory as hell. We have Amanda back in here as well, you know, putting another great performance in as this really awful character, really, isn't she? But I was just totally surprised by it. Now, it does leave on a little bit of a cliffhanger, and there's a certain character that I just need to see have the worst death possible, and I'm hoping Saw 11 is going to make that happen. But yeah, it's got me really excited for Saw 11 now, and I never thought I'd be saying that because I thought I was done with this franchise. But Saw X, huge surprise for me. And it didn't quite make my top 10 of the year, but it would have been 11. So look out for where everything plays out in my full ranking video. So in first place is Saw X. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. What are your top 5 or 10 most surprising horror movies of the year? Leave them down below in the comments. I'll try and get back to you all, I promise. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Please do let me know. And if horror is your sort of thing, please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel. It will really help me out. Thanks so much, everyone. You take care, and I'll see you on the next video.